ill-timed and ill-considered as usual, was to insist that the Calusa give up their old ways of worship anyway. In a matter of days, the mission effort was en route and the priests had to be rescued. Churchmen were transported into the Calusa territory and rescued from it by the same person, a Spanish fishing captain operating from a land base in the Keys. After 1704, disintegration of the Calusa cultural identity accelerated rapidly. Mixed bands of Indians and otherwise homeless people displaced from their own lands and societies by disease and political upheaval swept down from northern Florida and southern Georgia at this time, often occupying traditional Calusa sites which would have been fiercely defended only a few years before. And some of these people, who began to be known as Seminoles, joined the growing Spanish fishing business. Meanwhile, reports from ongoing missionary efforts, inept and unsuccessful to the last, detailed the ever more bleak fortunes of remaining Calusa groups and cited the preoccupation of all the native communities with rum. A report by a Spanish priest in the 1740s describes a small Calusa group gathered to pray to a crudely carved wooden fish head wrapped in an old deer skin, while their priest drinks himself into a stupor in search of true visions. A sense of almost unbearable tragedy pervades this account, which is otherwise essentially unsympathetic. The last of the traditional Calusa appear to have ended their lives as fugitives or as slaves or as displaced persons, dying in many cases without nation or tribe or family, their hearts embittered, their minds befuddled by rum and unspeakable loneliness. You know, that's sort of the story as our forefathers swept across this continent, and this was the plight of so many of the Indians. I went to Naples on a conference one year down in Marco Island, actually, and the Seminoles, the board of directors of the Seminole tribe was there, and they were having their annual meeting, and Chief Billy was there at the time, and I ended up staying up late into the evening playing music and dancing and singing with them, and wrote a poem. It's called Indians. It's a song, but I'm going to do it as a poem. I spoke to some Seminoles till late last night. We talked about injustice. We talked about rights. We sang and danced and drank like we liked. Feelings flowed free. A swamp, it came to life. I'm so sad how they treated your grandmom and dad. Alas, I cry, but I don't know what to do about it. Does it seem to help if I laugh or cry? I saw an Eskimo just last year. There was a stagger in his shuffle as noon drew near. He'd abandoned his spirits, I guess they didn't hear. Now he worships nothing and stinks of stale beer. And I'm so sad how they treated your grandmom and dad. Alas, I cry, but I don't know what to do about it. Does it seem to help if I laugh or cry? On Indio Hitchhiker's Thumb, I decided to stop. It was an Indio child and dad following crops. They worked where they could, hiding from immigration cops. I guess hunger doesn't stop at the border, green card or not. And I'm so sad how they treated your grandmom and dad. Alas, I cry, but I don't know what to do about it. Does it seem to help if I laugh or cry? I saw a real Indian the other day, a medical doctor in the USA. Came as a student, decided to stay. I guess sickness in real India just doesn't pay. And I don't know what to do about it, but it seems to help when I laugh and cry. Indians. It's hurricane season coming up, and let's hear Hurricanes Don't Care by Mac Martin.